will the Clippers be able to contend next season?
J-Mac, I just got a text from the Clippers saying they're not the paper clips, they're the money clips. All right, that's how they want you to refer to them going forward. No.
Sure.
But look, Kawhi, I believe wholeheartedly he's going to be back with the Clippers. All right, I think what he'll do is sign a 1-year, maybe a 2-year deal with the player option after the first year. Okay, so a 1-year deal essentially. And then after that, he'll be eligible to sign for 5 years, $235 million. That's how he can maximize his money, and that's what I think he'll do. He's comfortable at home. He lives in L.A. We know he wanted to get back to Southern California. And when he's on the floor, they are a contender. So I just don't know why in the world he would leave. So I think he'll be back with the Clippers long term. But I'm going to be honest, guys, I do not expect to see him on the basketball court next season. I don't expect him in April or March. That's optimistic, maybe. But I don't expect to see him at all for a few reasons. One, Kawhi has been notoriously overly cautious with his body. We saw it in San Antonio when he led his way out of there. Even early in his career, they would tell you in San Antonio that he really didn't want to play unless he was 100%. He was very cautious with his body. We saw the load management in Toronto, then again with the Clippers. And so I don't think he's going to rush his way back. I think he's going to make sure he's ready. And here's the other thing. Why would you come back late in the season from an ACL and risk looking so-so? You know, he's going to be good because he's Kawhi Leonard, but he might not be Kawhi Leonard right when he gets back if he comes back next season. So why risk that when you still want to sign a long-term max deal if indeed he doesn't sign a 4-year 176 this summer? So I don't expect to see Kawhi next year. That being the case, no, they won't be contenders. They'll be doing well to make the playoffs. We saw him play well without Kawhi last year in the playoffs. They beat Utah twice. They played Phoenix tough, took them to 6. So Paul George took a step. He really did. He helped himself in the postseason. But they got to keep Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, they can only pay him $10 million in the first year of a contract. If they lose him, and I don't blame him for going elsewhere if somebody pays him more money, then they really will be in trouble, and they'll be hoping to make the playoffs. If I'll put it this way, though, you mentioned DeMar DeRozan last segment, J-Mac, and there's talk that he might want to go back to L.A., where he's from. He might want to go to the Lakers. He might want to go to the Clippers. I don't think he'll take that much of a pay cut because each team can only pay him about $9 million roughly. All right? He made 27 plus last year. I don't think he takes that type of pay cut. If he were to, I think the place to go would be the Clippers. If he just wanted to play in L.A., because his role will be bigger. He'll be the second scorer with the Clippers, or maybe he'll be right there with Paul George. He'll get to shine, and there'll still be probably a playoff team with him. But to answer the question, no, they're not going to be a contender. They still could make the playoffs, but that would be the ceiling without Kawhi.
I love contend. The answer is yes. They will contend for a spot in the play-in game. They will be about the 9, 10, 11 seed, and they will try to get into the play-in game and then get smoked in the first round. Chris, here's what you fail to realize. Serge Ibaka, free agent. Pat Bev, the dog. Everybody loves Pat Bev. He's
Serge
terrible.
Picked up his...
No, okay, so Serge is coming back. Pat Beverly, free agent. Like, this team is a team in flux, okay? And if we're counting on Reggie Jackson, who I saw LeVar's eyes were like, oh, yeah, Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, you know, he was good in the playoffs. He was a nice player in the playoffs. Reggie Jackson. Just let that sink in. Just let that sink in.
He's been a nice player before the playoffs.
Okay, fair enough. He's a nice player. This is a team looking at a contending spot for the play-in tournament. Chris, the Memphis Grizzlies right now, if you remove Kawhi from the Clippers, the Memphis Grizzlies are better than the LA Clippers. That's a fact. The Grizzlies roster is incredible compared to the Clippers stacked side by side. Golden State's going to be better. We know that. They're coming. And I wouldn't even rule out the Pelicans making a run if the bumbling GM there, David Griffin, can ever figure things out and put people around Zion. I'm just saying, it would not be out of the realm if the Clippers totally missed the playoffs. Paul George, we saw him in Indiana. They ran hot with Roy Hibbert, fell back to the pack. He demanded out, blah, blah, blah. I just don't love the paperclips next year, Chris. This is a team, LeVar, play in at best. That should be the goal.
Yeah, I don't think they contend either. And I don't think Kawhi returns. I honestly don't. I like your reasoning.
Really?
Brew, I like your reasoning. But here's my
where's
thing.
he going, LeVar?
I mean, he could end up in Dallas, if you ask me. I mean, I've heard the rumors. I've seen stories. I've heard whispers and different things like that.
That would be something.
I think that would be an amazing addition to the Dallas Mavericks team. It would be a huge cue because when you think about it, they're one player away from being that next level of a team with Luka. So to me, I think that Kawhi may entertain the Dallas situation or another situation where he gets all of those elements that you're talking about, Brew. I think the whole living at home thing has run its course. I really do. I think that he may have dealt with more drama being with the LA Clippers than what he may have signed up for. If you recall, before he came to LA, everybody was talking about him as the best player in the NBA, the best player on the planet, the machine, the Terminator, all these different things. He was a media sweetheart. He comes to LA and the whole narrative changed. Now he's a diva. He doesn't want to play. All of those things existed in other places as well. It wasn't a big enough media market to hurt him in San Antonio. You go to Toronto, it's not a big enough media market to hurt you in Toronto. And then you turn around and you lead them to a championship for the first time in franchise history. You're a legend. You're legendary. So at this point, he's got championships on his resume. He's made money. He's played at home. I think Kawhi Leonard goes to a place where he can finish out his career the way he wants to finish it out under his terms and conditions. And I don't know that exists in LA. I just don't. I think the market doesn't serve that purpose very well. Too much scrutiny. Now, you look at the rest of the roster, you guys went over that and hashed over that already, so I don't have to go over the details of it to sound like I can regurgitate what you guys are saying. But in the end, I think that their best run for a championship was this season. Yeah. I think the ceiling has hit. I think they hit it hard. I think that the window has closed, and whatever it's going to be, they're going to have to finish out strong with Paul George and see how far he can take them. But I don't think that this Clipper team next year is a legitimate contender out of the West, especially if Kawhi Leonard ends up going elsewhere.
Well, look, I feel very confident he'll be with the Clippers. The Dallas thing, as a fan of the NBA, I would love to see Kawhi and Luka. I don't think it'll happen. But here's the thing. One, I think he likes being at home. And Kawhi brought a lot of that onto himself, LeVar. Kawhi was the one doing the commercials, talking about it's my city now, right? Kawhi was the one that allowed the billboards to be put up with the crown and all of that stuff. And then the scrutiny, that's going to be wherever he is. Giannis got crushed in Milwaukee before he won the championship, right? If Kawhi had gone anywhere, he could have gone to the smallest market in the NBA after Toronto. And if that first year, wherever he would be at, they dropped a 3-1 lead in the second round, he would have got crushed. So I don't think that was peculiar to LA. Nowadays with technology, you're getting scrutinized wherever you go when you're that level of star. And if he wants peace and quiet, I mean, they are still viewed as the little brother to the Lakers. Lakers, especially with Westbrook, they're going to get most of the scrutiny, most of the attention. So I just don't think those factors will lead Kawhi out. And then, of course, the most money he can make will be to stay with the Clippers. He went to some of their draft workouts. You know, he's been more engaged with the franchise than he has been in the past. So all things point to him re-signing with the Clippers. But I am with you guys in that they won't contend next year. They'll be doing well if they can get into the playoffs.
You know, I like what you said, Chris. It's rare that we all agree on something, and blasting the Clippers is a good agreement. But, you know, what's the saying? You come at the king, you best not miss. Didn't he really come at LeBron, coming out here to L.A., stealing Paul George? Because the Lakers had made a move on Paul George, if you remember. And then he decided, I'm going to stay in OKC. Kawhi basically built to try to come after LeBron here in L.A. Of course, the Lakers win the title. The Clippers choke in the bubble. Then they come out. Kawhi gets hurt. and now LeVar's saying maybe Dallas. Like, that would be pretty turning your tail and running away from a challenge if Kawhi Leonard left LA. I'm with Chris. I don't personally see it. I mean, he would make a great number 2 next to Luka Dončić, the best player in the NBA. That would be a perfect fit for Kawhi. You don't have all the responsibility because it's pretty clear. He can't handle that.
Did you see that?
No, that's not sliding anything. The reality is Kawhi's not a big spotlight guy, Chris. He can't handle being a number 1. He couldn't handle it in San Antonio. He was a clear number 2 behind the big 3. And then he got lucky in Toronto, when the Warriors got injured. I'm not blasting. This is reality. These are facts. Like, Kawhi Leonard is not really built to be a number 1. We saw that in the bubble when they gagged against the Nuggets. But listen, LeVar, if you're onto something and he leaves for Dallas,
do I have time to respond to that?
Yes, we have plenty of time. The producers have not yelled at me yet.
Kawhi Leonard's not built to be a number 1.
He's not a leader. He does not speak up in huddles. He does not do that.
The last time we saw him as a number 1 in San Antonio, they were up 22 points on Kevin Durant and Steph Curry in Game 1 of the playoffs. The last time we saw him as a number 1 in Toronto, he was hoisting the Finals MVP trophy in one hand and the Larry O'Brien trophy in the other. The last time we saw him as a number 1 with the Clippers, they were looking every bit the part of an NBA finalist. So stop it, J-Mac. Yes, he's quiet. Yes, he's reserved. No, he doesn't talk a lot. But that dude is a number 1, and you know it.
I wanted to wind up Broussard and let him go. We haven't got Broussard work. LeVar, you love it. LeVar's cracking up. All right, Broussard. Yeah, he's wrong about that.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.